Hi, third grade Wranglers. This is Mrs. Stasny, the math specialist at school. Let's look at our warm-ups today. Number 1 says, order the following numbers from greatest to least. When we are ordering the numbers, we are talking about the value of how much the numbers are worth. In this problem, they're telling us to look and put the greatest number first, and the number that is the least is going to be last. So we're going from greatest to least. I like to write it this way to remind me that greatest is the biggest and least is going to be the smallest. The first thing we do when we're writing numbers in order is we have to start comparing them. Remember, when we compare numbers, we start at the biggest place. In this case, all 4 of these numbers, the biggest place that they go to is the thousands. So in our first number, we have a 7 in the thousands place, a 7 in the thousands place, a 7 in the thousands place, and a 7 in the thousands place. That means they're all equal in the thousands. I'm going to check them off to remind myself that I already looked at the thousands, and now we're going to move down to the next place. The next place is the hundreds. Remember, we're looking for the greatest. So here's 300, 200, 700, and 200. Well, I know the greatest out of those numbers is going to be the 700, so I'm going to write that number in the first box to show that it is the greatest. That is the number 7,732. Now let's take a look at the next greatest number. We're not done looking at the hundreds place yet because our other 3 numbers have different digits in the hundreds place. We have 300, 200, and 200. Well, I know that 300 is greater than 200, so I know that my next greatest number is going to be 7,320. I'm going to check that one off to show that I've looked at that one. Now we have our last 2 numbers left. This one has 200, this one has 200. Those are equal to each other, so the hundreds place is not going to help us. We need to move down to the next place. The next place is the tens. This number has 3 tens, which is 30. This number has 3 tens, which is also 30. Again, they're equal, so we're going to check it off, and we have to go all the way down to the ones place. This one has 0 ones. This one has 3 ones. 3 is more than 0, so that means my next number is 7,233. And our least number, the one that is the smallest out of all 4 of these, is 7,230. There's your list of greatest to least. Okay, let's take a look at number 2. Draw lines to show how to share the cake equally with 2 people. So this rectangle here is our cake, and 2 people are going to share it. It's important that we notice the math word equally. If the 2 people are sharing it equally, that means they're getting the same amount. That means if you're one of those 2 people, you are not going to cut the cake here because you definitely don't want to be the person that's getting the smaller piece. Maybe you want to be the person getting the bigger piece, but that's not very equal and not very fair. There's lots of different ways we could cut this rectangle in half. The easiest way for me to do it is I'm going to cut it in half here. And that gives me an equal piece on this side or an equal piece on this side. Or it's pretty close to being equal. I'm not a perfect artist, and so one side might be a little bit bigger than the other, but I did my best to draw it in the middle. That's not the only way that I could share the cake equally with 2 people. I'm going to erase this line real quick. If you have that line there, that's fine. You don't have to erase. Besides cutting it in half vertically, I can also cut it in half horizontally, and each person would get a long, skinny piece of cake. Either way that you decided to cut the cake is fine, as long as you have as close as you can get 2 equal pieces. Okay, our question says, what fraction of the cake did each person receive? Now, I know we haven't learned about fractions yet in 3rd grade, but you have done fractions in 1st grade and 2nd grade. Remember, a fraction shows part of a whole. Well, our whole cake has 2 pieces. So that's going to be our denominator, which is our number that goes on the bottom. The number on the top is our part. Which part did each person get? Well, since there are two people sharing it and there's two pieces, that means each person is going to get one of those two pieces. So we would write the fraction 1 out of 2, or 1/2. Okay, number 3, write a number sentence to show the total number of stars. Well, when I look at my picture, I can see that I have 3 ovals, and each oval has some stars in it. This first oval has 6 stars, the second oval has 6 stars, and the third oval also has 6 stars. If I want to know the total number of stars, then I can just add these numbers together. One number sentence I can write is 6 plus 6 plus 6. But I notice that I'm adding the same number over and over and over again. And as you're going to learn this week, when we add the same number over and over again, we can do it a faster way. We can use multiplication. So I see that I have 3 groups and each group has 6. So instead of writing 6 plus 6 plus 6, I can also write the number sentence 3 groups of 6.